right, all right. How y'all doing? Doing pretty good. All praises. It's good to see some new folk, visitors. Some I know my sister right here. You've been here before, but it's good to have you today. All praises. Got Delisi in the house. All praise be to the Most High. And then we got some new congregants in the house.
Yep.
Y'all probably didn't know. They'll be formally announced on at the General Assembly. So, and all praise be to the Most High for each and every one of y'all and everybody that's online. Let's get into it. It's been a lot going on this year. How many of you guys have social media? Okay. Social media, a lot of people talking about 2020. What have you heard about the year 2020? It's been hell. Somebody said take it back. What else? A lot of death. Okay. 2020. A lot happened in the year 2020. All right. Some of your more recent events, it seems to be even heightening more of the senseless killings of so-called black and brown people all over the place. And it's crazy because I'm hearing like, oh yeah, somebody just recently got killed in Pasadena. You see people posting incidents that haven't been made, publicly haven't gotten the same public notoriety, haven't been publicized in the same way, haven't gotten the same attention that certain cases have. We know one of the most notable cases right now that's being spoken about is the situation with the brother Jacob Blake, right? A guy on camera, just like many of the others, gets shot 7 times in the back without being armed, all right? Amongst all of those things, black and brown, a lot of the brown that they are not publicizing whatsoever, divide and conquer. Then you have all types of other things that are going on. It's crazy because you just had that, it looked nuclear, pretty nuclear to me, but you just had that big explosion in Beirut. That's like old news now. You got all of the stuff that's very laughable that's happening with Trump and Biden. Kamala, however you pronounce her name, right? You got celebrities dying left and right. What was the brother from Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman? Yeah. He just passed away. Said he was battling with cancer, but nobody knew.
Colon cancer.
Colon cancer.
2016.
That's what they said. Maybe it was.
43.
Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I can't speculate too far. I know usually when you go through that type of thing and they said he took chemo, you would have seen, hair loss. But I guess that's neither here nor there because I don't want to further speculate. All these things happen in Kobe. Right? All of these things happening. Hurricane, right? They said that was a pretty big one. I haven't heard too much about it, but I see things, and they said it was like a massive hurricane. I think they call it Hurricane Laura. It's like another hurricane getting ready to hit. So much happening. It's crazy because 2020, it's like it hasn't let up. As the years have progressed, just like the Bible said, it would be like a woman in travail, meaning like a woman in labor. How many women here have labored before, haven't given birth to children? So the process goes like this in a nutshell. You start having, even earlier on, what they call Braxton Hicks. You get a contraction every now and then. And usually it doesn't hurt much at all, if it hurts at all. But you get the contracting going on, getting the body prepared, right? By the time you hit active labor, you start having contractions consistently And they start getting closer and closer and closer and closer together. That's what's happening right now. Back when it used to be a time like 10 years, 20 years ago, things were happening, but it wasn't just happening consistently. It's happening more consistently, and it's happening closer together. Prophecy being fulfilled right before our very eyes. Now, what's ironic is that this year is deemed to be 2020. If a person has 2020 vision, what does that mean? Perfect eyesight. They can see clearly. Shouldn't have any problems at all seeing whatever is put in front of them, whether it be near or far, right? 2020 vision. But it's 2020 and our people are still blind. It's crazy because it's 2020 vision for some of us. It's like our eyesight has become that much clearer. The writing is so much on the wall, you're like, it's nothing else but this. I'm waiting. It's happening. I know for a fact if I wasn't solidified some years back, I'm solidified now because everything is happening according to the Bible. Bible prophecy. So we got 2020 vision. All the while, it's like the rest of Israel, they blind. Go from there. Go to Romans chapter 11. Let's get 7 and 8.
Romans chapter 11, verse 7.
Yep.
What then? Israel had not obtained that which he seeketh?
Israel has not obtained that which he seeketh for. Our people are seeking for something and they're not finding it. They're looking for answers, but they can't seem to find the answers. Go ahead.
But the election had obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
So the election, meaning the elect, right? Those that actually have been chosen, that have chosen to walk the path by keeping the commandments, it says, but the election have obtained it. The answers that the other Israelites, other unawakened, unaware Israelites are looking for, those that keep his commandments can see it. They have those answers. Is that not what we're experiencing right now? Watch this, read.
According as it is written.
Now, and the last part on 7.
Obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
And the rest were blinded. 2020 vision, but they blind. Blind as a bat. Can't see what's going on. All of the atrocities that are happening to our people on a day-to-day basis, you got some of our people that just cannot put 2 and 2 together. Go ahead, you had something to say, Out? We got a microphone.
We just got back from East LA,
Mm-hmm.
50 on the moratorium, and there were a lot of people there, but man, just like the scripture said, they're blinded. They're so blinded. They still want to defend the old way. And they're still like that because the scripture said they're blinded. They don't.
Yeah.
It's a blessing knowing the truth.
Absolutely. Our people are blind. So what I'm saying is, don't take this for granted. It's easy to take this for granted. Oh yeah, I'm an Israelite. I've been an Israelite for like 4 or 5 years. Man, it's a blessing to know who you are. And it's a blessing to have the veil pulled from over your face. Have those blinders pulled off of your eyes. Go ahead and read. Verse 8.
According as it is written, Yahweh hath given them the spirit of slumber.
They got the spirit of slumber. The Most High said this ain't for y'all. Just like he said in Romans chapter 9, he said, not all that's Israel is Israel. This ain't for every one of y'all. I know you want your auntie and them. Everybody ain't gonna get it. He choosing up. Read.
Eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear.
Now, you look at certain people and say, this is a pretty intelligent person. This is a pretty intelligent man or woman. As a matter of fact, I've actually looked at them as more intelligent than I am. They got this degree and that experience. We grew up in the same house. Why is it that I can see this, but they can't? Spirit of slumber. Go ahead.
Unto this day.
Unto this very day. That's what's happening. Go to Micah chapter 3. You know what's so crazy? My intent when I was putting this lesson together, I had videos that I wanted to show, right? And this thing took me for a turn. I said, I don't need them videos because I'm showing you things that you've already seen. You already saw Jacob Blake being shot. You already see what's going on with the NBA and with athletes and all of the politics. You see it. What I need you to see is this word. Go ahead. Micah chapter 3, I want verse 1, then drop down to verse 8.
Micah chapter 3 and verse 1. And I said, hear, I pray you, O heads of Jacob, and ye princes of the house of Israel.
Watch this, read.
Is it not for you to know judgment?
Now, is it not for you to know judgment? Are our people supposed to be in a place where we don't know and we don't understand the judgment of the Most High? We don't understand how important it is for us to be judges? Because a lot of times you got conversations with your people and it's a whole lot of matters that they don't want to judge. When it comes to certain issues, they become taboo. They don't want to speak about certain things. Watch this, read verse 8.
Verse 8, but truly I am full of power by the Spirit of the Lord.
So he said, but look, this is what it is. Because that was the question. The answer is, he said, look, truly I am full of power by the Spirit of the Most High. Read.
And of judgment, and of might, to declare unto Jacob his transgression.
He said, hold on. He said, and that spirit is of judgment. What kind of spirit are we supposed to have on us? A spirit of judgment. Oh, but then they go to scriptures like, oh, you know, in the New Testament, totally take it out of context. You ain't supposed to judge me. Judge not unless you want to be judged. That's saying if you ain't got your stuff together. But he said it's a need, it's a must that we judge. Because if we don't judge amongst one another, we ain't going to get things right. He said we're supposed to be judges. There is supposed to be judgment and might. We're supposed to have some power and fervency behind what we believe and what we stand for. He said to declare unto Jacob his transgressions, meaning the breaking of the law, and to Israel his sin. That's what we're supposed to do. If we ain't doing that, then we playing like we in the truth. We playing like we in the faith. Go from there. Give me wisdom of Solomon. I'm going to keep it real with you. I know it's some folks that ain't even in here at this very moment. And I love you. Because you don't want that unadulterated truth yet. You don't want to be held accountable yet. But each and every one of our lives and our salvation depends upon it. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, let's get 17 through 23.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 17. He shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemies.
Said, make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemy. Who is the creature? The creature that the Bible speaks of is man. He said he's going to use man against his own self. The collective of man, even inclusive of some Israelites that don't necessarily want to do right, and then even some of the ones that will do right. Because he said he will use us as his battle axe. He said, and he going to use all of that against his enemies. You know what's so crazy? Everybody just expects. That's why you got all these different doctrines of how the Most High moves. And you got a lot of these bootleg Christian folks and a lot of folks that say they ain't bootleg Christians but have a bootleg Christian state of mind that believes that the Most High is not going to use physical weapons. As if he's not going to use, he's going to just snap his fingers like Thanos. And things are just going to, nah. He said, what do you think I created these elements for? What do you think I created these beasts for? What do you think I created man for? He said, I'm going to use all the things that I created at my will to destroy as I see fit. Read.
He shall put on righteousness as a breastplate. And true judgment instead of a helmet.
Now, true justice instead of a helmet. Why judgment in the place of a helmet? What's the link? I'm going to tell you what the link is. Because anytime you're dealing with aspects of judgment, judgment has to start with the leaders, with the head. Scripture talks about how the Most High loves judgment. And when you slack judgment or all out, don't bring forth judgment, that's when things fall apart. Read on.
He shall take holiness for an invisible shield. His severe wrath shall he sharpen for a sword.
Go ahead.
And the world shall fight with him against the unwise.
The world shall fight with him against the unwise. What world is this talking about? This talking about the world is spoken about in Isaiah, I believe, 45. The world without end. Israel. He said he's going to use the Israelites and he's going to fight against the unwise. Who are the unwise? Wisdom is the keeping of the commandments. The unwise are those that choose not to keep his commandments. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise that this is not war. Read on.
Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad.
He said, then the right aiming thunderbolts shall go. Because it's a whole lot of thunderbolts that hit random things, or so it seems random to us. He said, now I'm going to start making them hit who I want them to hit. They tell you thunder don't strike, lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice. He said negative. He said, I hit you with 3 in a row if I need to. He said, them things is going to go directly to my targets. Read on.
And from the clouds, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark.
He said he's going to be sniping people with lightning, thunderbolts. Go ahead.
And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow.
Now, what's so funny about this is what the scriptures are saying. This is what's happening right now. It's crazy. We've become so desensitized because we see so much on social media. Folks is getting killed all over the world by natural disasters, at the hands of other people, and it's become the norm. And this is what's happening. Most High is sniping people, sniping nations. Read on.
And the water of the sea shall rage against them. And the flood shall cruelly drown them.
That's happening as well. All types of floods, oceans, devouring people, folks on an individual level, multiples of people, ships disappearing. Now, a lot of y'all are probably looking at me like I'm making this stuff up. You couldn't even keep up. If you went to look and investigate all the things that are happening on a day-to-day basis concerning all of these things, you'd be astonished and you wouldn't be able to keep up. You can't keep up with all of the Israelites that are getting killed on a day-to-day basis at the hands of Esau. Nevertheless, try to keep up with all these casualties. All the while, you sitting here because you can go to the grocery store and you got a little bit of comfortability. You convince yourself that this ain't going on yet, that you got a little bit more time. Don't let them fool you. Be not deceived. Read on.
Yea, a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away.
See, when you read this, I guess because of the words, you may convince yourself that this is just talking about a wind. What is a hurricane?
Even a tornado.
What is a tornado? Are these things not happening? Have you done the research to see how often these things have happened throughout the course of the history of the last couple of 100 years? Or are you just assuming that all of this is normal? Read on.
Like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth. And ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty.
We got a whole lot of ill dealings. We've had a lot of ill dealings, and this congregation is by itself. Keep it real with you. It's hitting us just like it's hitting everybody else. And I had to take on a whole different respect for other congregations that I've seen going through things like we just went through. Here we are fighting over some, well, it ain't nonsense to everybody because some folks are actually wrong and some folks are trying to do the right thing. Some folks are actually somewhat victimized in the situation. But nevertheless, I'm looking at the situation and I'm saying it's a whole lot more other things that we could be giving our energy to. If we could just get it right amongst ourselves, if we could just humble ourselves. It's a whole lot more out there that we fare a better chance if we were able to collectively. But the Most High said, remember what he told Judas Maccabeus. He said it ain't about the number. He said I could do it all together with big number and with a small number. But it's the power that come from up above. Amen. We got to focus on the Most High. We can't focus on who's popular. We got to examine and see if I'm going to follow this, are they keeping these commandments? Are they solid? Are they justified in their actions? Don't look and say, oh, that didn't rub me right, and don't investigate. Because your soul is on the line right now. You need to gather yourself amongst those that are earnestly trying to keep these commandments. Go from there. Job chapter 8. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add something because you made a point before you started about the fact that we shouldn't get complacent, knowing the truth, knowing who we are, and actually being able to congregate since March. Because if you're in a bootleg church and you following other religions, like a lot of our people doing, you're not even able to congregate. So a lot of us have taken that for granted. For the past 6 months. You know what I'm saying? So, and the Most High is allowing us to do so in this perilous time. So,
because it will be a time where they're going to press us. We've already been putting our faith on the line, big time. But it's going to come a time. We got to stand for this. We're going to be wise. We're going to do what we got to do sometimes when we got to do it. But we ain't going to compromise this word. And when it gets to a point where the wise thing is to forsake this in order to preserve yourself, then some of us just got to die. That's what it is. And for some of us, it'll be easier for us to die, but we can't stand to see our loved ones get touched. We can't stand to see somebody touch them babies, touch them wives. Most High gonna preserve the lot of them, but it might be some case-by-case situations. You got to be willing to let them go. It's that serious. That's where we at right now. Job chapter 8.
Verse 8.
Start at verse 1.
Job chapter 8, verse 1. Then answered Bildad, the Shuhite, and said,
This is a friend of Job. Read.
How long wilt thou speak with these things? And how long shall the words of thy mouth be like a strong wind?
Go ahead.
Doth Yahweh pervert judgment?
He said, how long you going to be talking this, saying what you saying? Because them some strong words. So he asked him a question. He says, doth not the Most High, doth not God pervert judgment? Oh, I'm sorry, not doth not. Doth God pervert judgment? So he's asking him a question. Do you think that the Most High perverts judgment? Read on.
Or doth the Almighty pervert justice?
Or do you think that he perverts justice? Our people think like that. Our people say it all day, and some people be doing all of this and likes and loves and all of that. They on their live feed talking about if there was a God. We sitting up here waiting on God. We ain't supposed to be waiting. We've been a fool for waiting for so long. We got to do it. We got to do what a lot of blasphemy. Does the Most High pervert judgment and justice? That's a question. Some people believe so. But those are people that are unwilling to investigate the truth. Because when you look into the truth of the matter, boy, we've been some filthy minstrous rags. We don't like to look at us. You on your deathbed, you want to hear good things, you want to hear positivity, and you don't want nobody coming to you and saying, you know what, this is your fault, right? Who like that? How many of y'all have been in situations where you've been next to a loved one who's on their deathbed, and you trying to tell them and they don't want to hear it? You got to be willing to examine yourself and say, look, everything that's thrown at me, I must deserve. I may not understand exactly what it was that I did. I may not recognize it yet, but I know I had to do something. It ain't hard for us to see because it ain't like, as far as us adults, I don't know if anybody up in here started their lives as early as they could remember walking in the way of these commandments. So there's plenty of things that we should be dying for. The minute something bad befalls us, then we woe is me. That's what our people are like out there. You can't tell them nothing. Trying everything and ain't a doggone thing working. You protest, you march, you boycott, you riot, you loot. It ain't a damn thing working. But you won't try to keep these commandments. You won't try to come back to the Most High. You will hear of no such thing. You got plenty of Israelites who are becoming billionaires now, and it ain't changing a doggone thing. That should tell you something. We need more. How many more lawyers do we need? We got enough Israelite lawyers as it is. The thing is, we don't need more Israelite lawyers and doctors. Nah. And listen to what I'm saying. We don't need them in their system. If we need them more than ever, not in that system. We need them knowing who they are, and we need them ready, willing, and available to tend to the every need of their community, to tend to the every need of their people. That's what we need. I ain't raising a child to tell my child that you need to become this and that in order to go into their world and prosper in their world and be a benefit to them. Tell your child, raise your child to be a benefit to their own. If we don't build it, who's going to build it? Whole lot of folks, they like to talk, but they don't like to walk the walk. You can't be afraid to say the truth even when you don't know how in the world to make it happen. That's when you're trusting the Most High. That's when you understand that you got to get other people involved who can do things that you can't do, who can focus on things that you may not be able to focus on. That's what it takes to build a nation. Go ahead and read.
If thy children have sinned against him and have cast them away for their transgressions, if thou wouldest seek unto God, betimes, and make thy supplication to the Almighty.
Go ahead.
If thou wert pure and upright, surely now he would awake for thee, and make thy habitation of thy righteousness prosperous.
So this is cold-blooded, because what he's saying is, he's asked the question, right? And then he goes from there and says, look, if your children have sinned against him, and he have cast them away for their transgression, because that's a lot of us. We're in a situation where we got our loved ones, we got our children that haven't been pleasing to the Most High, right? So then he says, if thou wouldest seek God betimes, if you seek him earnestly, go to him. Don't wait till the last minute. Be fervent in your prayer and your supplication, and make thy supplication to the Most High, to the Almighty. If thou wert pure and upright, surely now he would awake for thee, and make the habitation of thy righteousness prosperous. So my question is, why can't people understand that the Bible is saying, if you are good and square with the Most High and you ain't indebted, that he'll be right there to answer your prayer and fix your situation instantly? And if your situation ain't being fixed instantly, then guess what? You might not be as right and tight as you think you are. Sometimes you just getting it right. You just now getting it right. But he said you got a debt that you got to pay off. Don't take a bootleg Christian mentality. I'm saved. He said you ain't saved yet. Not yet. Work off your salvation with fear and trembling. Every step being prudent, afraid to make the wrong step. He said that's how you should be. We be so quick to talk about what we know. Can't nobody tell us nothing. I've been doing. Better humble yourself. Go ahead and read.
Though thy beginning was small, yet the latter end should be greatly increased.
You see that? He said, though your beginning was small, your latter end shall be great. It's going to increase. Go from there. I would have you, in your own time, read all the way down to 22. It's a bunch of nuggets in there. In verse 20, it says, would he cast away a perfect man? If you were perfect, you think he would cast you away? But you ain't reached perfection yet. Some of y'all in cruise control, and you got a whole lot of debt. He said by the time it's time to pay up, you ain't going to be done paid up. You need to pay a little bit more. You ever had a situation where you got to pay something by a certain time, and you ain't even paying the minimum? He said you got to step that up. Boy, we ought to be busy in these. Man, all these folks talking about no camp, no camp, no camp. You need a camp. You need accountability. Don't call it a camp then if you don't like camp. That word is taboo. Call it a congregation. Call it a church if you want to. Call it an assembly. You call it whatever the heck you want. But you better get somewhere where you're going to be held accountable. You better get somewhere where you're going to actually be able to assemble and have convocations. Because a convocation in itself is the law, and it means a gathering. Where you're going to be able to build. You have to be a member. A member means what? You're an active part of a body. What Bible are we reading in Israel? You got to be a part of a camp. Don't call it a camp if you don't want to call it that. But we got a whole lot of work we got to do. Everything that's happening, we ain't got as much time as we would like to think that we have. Boy, we thought COVID was going to be done passed away by now. We thought we was going to be back to normal. They ain't got back to normal yet. Go from there. 2nd Ezra, chapter 5. Second Ezra, chapter 5, and get 33 and 34. Then we're going to drop down to 42.
2nd Ezra chapter 5, verse 33. And I said, Speak on, my Lord. Then said he unto me, Thou art sore troubled in mind for Israel's sake.
So now he's talking to Ezra, which is Ezra, right? And he look at him, he say, you pretty sore trouble for Israel's sake. Because a lot of our people, they don't call us Israel, but they call, whether they saying black people, whether they saying brown people, whether they saying Latino, right? Whether they saying Chicano, whether they saying African American, whether they saying West Indian, or whatever the case may be, whatever byword you call yourself by. A lot of our people out there are advocating for the justice, for the rights of their people. And they believe that they love their people more than the creator that created them. So he's looking at Ezra, because Ezra kind of took that stance for a minute. He said, hold up, Ezra. You think you got the people's best interests more so than I do? Hold up. Read on.
Lovest thou that people better than he that made them?
He said, do you think you love the people more than I love them? The one that actually created them? Think about that. Sometimes we get puffed up. We think we being so selfless. And we so full of it. Because we misfire and we don't understand how disrespectful we being to the God that created us. He said, all you got to do is read the book. I got it all play by play for you. Read on.
And I said, No, Lord, but of very grief have I spoken. My reins pain me every hour, while I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High.
What'd he say?
As I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High.
He said, as I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High. We be laboring to comprehend, some of us do, to comprehend what's going on, the judgment of the Most High. Some of us, we don't labor at all. We just got vain opinions. But you say that, you know what they say about opinions. You already know what they say. Everybody got one of them, right? Now, some of us, we actually laboring. But that's what you got to understand. We labor. For those out there that are not laboring at all and think they know what's going on, and you got some of our folk, many of our people that are following some of these people that are godless. And we sitting up here giving our all, earnestly, truly trying to labor to understand the way of the Most High. Because sometimes if you get caught off guard, boy, you'll be done said some stuff and come to some bad conclusions. Why did the Most High take him away? He was just a baby. And I can say that, and I don't say that facetiously because I done lost kids of my own. I done had to bury 2 of my own children. So I'm not saying that facetiously. But what I am saying is this. I understand I ain't nothing but a filthy rag. I understand for every loved one that I've lost. I remember there was a time when I was young, and it felt weird because I really hadn't lost anybody that was close to me. Somebody say you live long enough, you'll experience it. You just keep living. I kept living, and I started losing people, and it hurt. Yeah, that one hurt. It hurt. But guess what? I had to make sure my mind was in the right place because I had to understand that the Most High was doing what he do. And if I had any chance at understanding any of it, then guess where I needed to go? I didn't need to go to a therapist. I needed to go to a real therapist. The therapist of all therapists. Because some people, They'll be like, we need to go and get some real help. No, this is where the real help is at. You just don't need to go to somebody that don't know how to wield this sword. You need to go to somebody who knows how to wield this sword in righteousness until they can help you and show you how to wield it for yourself. This is where that real help is at. This is the thing that will give you comfort and allow you to be able to process whatever it is that you're going through when somebody else got to take 5 years of sessions for you just to scratch the surface. This is where you get the answers right here. Go ahead and read.
My reins pain me every hour, while I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High and to seek out part of his judgment.
Go down, drop down to verse 42.
Verse 42, and he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring.
Now listen to this. He said, I will liken my judgment unto a ring. What is a ring? A circle. He said, I would liken my judgment to this. Where is the beginning and the end of that ring? Where is it? Huh? Where is it at? Because in the bootleg church and when you deal with other people, they think of judgment as linear. They waiting on judgment day. He said, yeah, there will be an ultimate judgment day, but he said judgment is always happening. He said your current state of what you in, how you came on this earth, is a judgment. He said what you don't understand, why you getting caught up thinking it's all about you, is that it's just like this. You better figure it out. What? Because the Bible said in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, he said everything has a season. What do you mean by that? Last time I checked, guess what? The true first season is what? If you speak a little bit of Spanish, you know primavera, right? Which means what? First. That's spring, when things come to life. That's what makes sense. The beginning of life would be the first. But watch this. You got spring, followed by summer, followed by fall, followed by winter, followed by spring, and then it just keep going. Sitting up here trying to figure out something, he said the first thing you got to understand is we on this. You trying to understand today? Then go learn your history. Delve into this book. He tells you in the book of Romans chapter 15, he said the things aforetime were written for our learning, that we through the scriptures might have hope. You trying to figure out what's going on today, you trying to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, then you need to figure out what happened in the past. That's how it works. Read on.
Like if there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first.
He said that just like there ain't no slackness of the last, there is no swiftness of the first, meaning what? It's all going to happen in due season. You can't stop it. He had to tell Ezra to chill out. Everybody stop the press. We about to protest. We about to boycott. Why don't you start off keeping the Sabbath? No buy, no sell. Why don't you start off with that? Nah. The day that we going to have our blackout is going to be, you just want to do your thing. That's it. You don't love this people. Because if you love this people, everybody out there that say they leading, and you can love me, you can hate me. I can give a damn. I said it. If you love your people, you be trying to figure out who your people are. You be trying to educate, because that's just common sense amongst the nations. The nations understand. We can come together based off of our identity, our history, our collective plight. That's why we have such a hard time as Israelites coming together, because don't nobody want to deal with the truth of who we are and who our enemies are and why we in the predicament that we in and how we need to submit ourselves to our Constitution. Sitting up here trying to change another man's Constitution. His Constitution was never written for you. It was never written for you to be to your advantage. And you sitting up here trying to make him make amendments. And in his Constitution, you still ain't even a whole man. What's wrong with us? I got to use this word for shock value. And it ain't exclusive to so-called black people. Because it means black. And ain't none of us black. We all shades of brown. You got niggas. Niggas. Talking about we got to vote. Now, you know that you just ain't trying to bite the hand that feeds you, because you know by now you got enough common sense to know that your voting don't matter. Now, they done shifted from, oh, okay, well, if it ain't the presidency, we got to vote in our common place. Man, these ain't our communities. We don't own this. We getting taxed on everything. Will you be a fool not to, you know what? We'd be a fool not to start creating our own for the time being. That's what we need to do. Why would I give all of my energy to try to help fix something that I have no control over, that they will never allow me to fix? I did that within the school district, thinking I was going to make a change. You ain't going to make a change. You might change one or two. All praise be to the Most High. But you spinning your wheels. What you need to do is leave them alone and trying to do, you ain't gonna change their system. You're not gonna change their society. It's not happening. Go ahead. Was that all of that? Let's go to get Ecclesiasticus. Chapter 38. Yep. Sirach. In the Apocrypha. 38, 24 through 26, and then we're going to drop down to 33 and 34.
Sirach chapter 38, verse 24.
24 and 20 through 26 verse.
24. The wisdom of the learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure.
Opportunity of leisure. You know what leisure is, right? A lot of y'all live an unnecessarily busy life. Some folks is lazy. Some folks live an unnecessarily busy life. You find a whole lot of things to do that really don't have all that much purpose. Right? Leisure is free time. So it says, the wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, meaning what? He cannot become a learned man without having the opportunity to do so, which comes by having the time to do so. If you don't have the time to sit back and breathe for a moment, decompress, and actually open up your scriptures and study, to actually think, you know it takes a little bit of time to think, right? Have the time to go and actually read into things, not just for entertainment, because I know a lot of us, we entertaining ourselves, but sometimes you got to entertain for a minute, decompress, turn the entertainment off, and actually try to figure out what's going on in the world and how it correlates to us as a people. That's what you got to do. But you need time for that. You need time. Read.
And he that has little business shall become wise.
If you got too much business, it's okay to have business. Some folks gonna have more business than other people. And when you read this whole thing, it tells you a number of different businesses that folks have. And we need them to build our community. Some of y'all is gonna be some of these businesses. Some of y'all just gonna hold down the community. Some of you guys gonna make more money than others and prosper. All praise be to the Most High. But any people that's a wise people, and it's always got to be a balance, because you do have some wicked bastards that take their authoritative positions, right? And they take advantage of the people. It shouldn't be that. But at the same time, we as a people got to start being wise enough to be what the other nations are, which they learn from us. We got to actually value those that are amongst us that labor in wisdom, that have the ability to lead and think. You got to value those people. Don't treat them like they come a dime a dozen. Don't treat them like, you know what, they can be easily replaced, because that ain't so. We've become that. We do that. We don't value our leaders when we have good leaders. So it says, and he that have little business shall become wise. Those that don't have or take, just like the Levites. The Levites couldn't go into business like everybody else. But everybody pitched in to make sure that they were well taken care of. Because the Levites, what they did had everything to do with the entire salvation of the nation. Paul let you know, he said, look, I don't take money from nobody, although I'm more than deserving. So what that court, because some people be like, okay, well then cool. I ain't get that nigga nothing. What that's saying is, if you see him in need, recognize how important he is and help him out. Collectively. It shouldn't fall on one person. Make sure that your leaders are taken care of. That ain't for us right here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Israel, period. We got to be wise enough to recognize who our leaders are and make sure our leaders have the ability to have the leisure to do what they need to do to try to keep us on the right path. I'm telling you. You can't treat this word like a part-time job and think that you're going to flourish in it. You can't do it. Go ahead and read. Verse 5. 25.
Yeah, you tripping. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow? And that glorieth in the gods?
In the gold.
That driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks.
Go ahead.
He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give to the kind fodder.
The kind meaning the cattle, right? That's where his mind is at. I look at my father, my biological father. My biological father is a man of great wisdom. I never really understood that. But one thing that I knew that my father had already accepted, my father accepted who he was. He knew what path he chose to take. And he's a great, diligent man in that he does. He showed me you can't half step. If I'm going to be this, I got to go all out and be that, because it's going to take your time. But you can't think that you're going to be able to do, because if you know anything about business, running the business and being a business owner is not the same thing. You got sometimes where people run the business and they own the business. That does work sometimes. But as things grow, what often happens is that business owner realizes that they're not going to be able to take care of all of the things that need to be taken care of on the back end and be able to run the day-to-day operations. So they got to hire help. Because the day-to-day operations will consume you. Make sense? Drop down, verse 33.
Verse 33. They shall not be sought for in public council. Excuse me. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit in high in the congregation.
Listen, what he's saying is, he said all of these different occupations that are definitely necessary to build a community, to build a nation, that may be even rich, Because that's another thing too. The head guy a lot of times ain't going to be the richest. Right? You got somebody over here that has a successful business and he's bringing in a whole lot of moolah. He's a rich man. Pray that he's a righteous man and he's a charitable man. But nevertheless, due to what he does for a living and how proficient he is at that, he's wealthy. That's his portion. But the Bible says you can't expect for him to sit high in council. Why? Because he's focused on his business. Some people got to focus on this business. How many of y'all really respect that process? Let me tell you something. Understand this. We are struggling as a people because we are unwilling to organize as a nation and as a community. We are so afraid to come together and trust one another and pull our resources together. We're so afraid to do more than the next person. I realize, I don't know how it's all going to pan out, but I do know this. I realize that there's going to be some changes in the next couple of years. I realize here I am, one of the leaders of True Nation. The actual head guy, all praise be to the Most High of True Nation, which was the way it happened. But I'm working multiple jobs. And the needs of the people don't stop. And I'm saying what I've been saying from the jump. I hear Jethro. He said, go get help. Able men. Apt. What does it mean, apt? Apt goes into aptitude. What does aptitude mean? Those that have the ability, right? Not everyone will understand judgment. All right? The main reason why I'm telling you this is because guess what? I'm getting up there. I'm still young, but time is going by quick. Guess who you need to be building, and guess who you don't need to be stingy with, and you got to think differently about. These are going to be your leaders that quick. If you don't start preparing them, making a way for them, setting up businesses and streams of income, security, with things becoming more and more difficult, how effective are they going to be able to fare here in this world before we get up out of here? How effective are they going to be at building our community? Now is the time to act. I'm already a casualty of this war. I'm already in a situation where I can only give you what I can give you based upon the leisure that I have. But you got all of the opportunity right here to get it right. Who's listening? We want to talk about judgment and how this is your opportunity. The Most High said, this is your key. This the answer right here. But y'all ain't hearing me. Go ahead, finish that off.
They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit in the high congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment.
Because we're talking about judgment. These people that are caught up in all of these things because everybody wants their baby to just make a whole lot of money. You want them to be big time. But I tell my kids, you know what I realize? I say, yeah, I do want my kids. I would like, it would be cool if they could do this. But the number one thing that I tell them, and I done really backed off a lot of the other stuff, and I'm trying to figure it out. But I say this all the time. I said, no matter what, always be righteous. I got to focus on your righteousness first. I got to focus on your character first. That's what I got to focus on. Because if we can get that right, everything else is going to be a cakewalk. I understand that my sons, I'm looking at them, I'm seeing what their mental capacity is at an early age. Only way they're going to be able, if that's for them, because it may not be for them. They may be the blacksmiths and carpenters. Maybe. But if I see something in them, then guess what? I'm responsible for cultivating that in them. In order for them to be able to sit in one of these seats, he said it's going to be some sacrifice. And if your kids see you and you ain't willing to sacrifice, women, y'all sacrifice. You got to. That's the job that's been given to you. You sacrifice a whole lot of things as a little girl that you was told that you was going to be able to do, all for them babies right there. But it ain't nothing different than Mary had to do for YHWH. It's a sacrifice worth giving. That's where we at right now. Kobe was here and then he was gone. Chadwick was here and then he was gone. I recall reading the scripture, I don't know where it's at, but it says, but they gonna be forgotten. He said, but the righteous man, his name will be remembered more than 1,000 men. That's what the Bible say. He said 10 years from now, you're gonna forget who this person is. A lot of the young generation, they don't know Tupac. They don't know Michael Jackson. They don't know a lot of the stars that you grew up with, but they know Moses. They know Jesus.
Rock 8 and 10. Rock 8 and 10.
8 and 10, that's Ecclesiastes. That ain't the one. It's another one that say like, but that's a good one too. It's cool. Go ahead. Are you Ecclesiastes or Ecclesiasticus? 30. You trying to see if that's the one I wanted?
Yes.
30 and 2.
You said 30 and what? Oh yeah, now that wasn't the one I was looking for, but that's on point too. Just getting these boys ready. Absolutely, getting these boys ready. That's what we got to do. Absolutely, because he's gonna be focused on avenging his father. The Avengers. You know, like we read some months back, first thing that Solomon did when he came in, he got rid. His father told him, get rid of all of my enemies. How many of us thinking like that? We don't think like these scriptures tell us to think. We be so soft. We be so soft. Oh, it's okay. You better figure out what that balance is. Was that all of that?
You want go ahead?
Finish that off.
And they shall not be found. Oh, excuse me. My bad. And they cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken.
Go ahead, 34.
But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desires is in their work of their craft.
That's what they do. But when you talk about leaders, man, leaders have to have that leisure, and there needs to be a respecting of their process. Know this. Don't, like I said, man, because a lot of Israel, man, we think everybody trying to take advantage of us. We so skeptical. It'll behoove for us to figure that out sooner than later. But I'm saying if you don't figure it out at this moment, at least do it for your kids. Folks are more inclined to do it for their kids. If I tell you now, maybe it'll click. Make it easier for these kids to lead, because they up next. And it might not be no next after them, the way things are going. Anybody believe anything different? Does anybody see anything contrary to what I see? Because it don't look like it's going to be a next after them. Go from there. Get Proverbs 28 and 5. Let's speed it up a little bit. Some things I want to hit. Proverbs 28 and 5.
Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 5. Evil men understand not judgment.
Evil men understand not judgment. When we talk about what's going on in the world, what's happening, evil men don't understand. They're unwilling to understand because they're unwilling to trust in what the Bible is saying. They're unwilling to admit their responsibility for what's happening. Go ahead, finish that off.
But they that seek the Lord understand all things.
But if you seeking the Most High, it make perfect sense, don't it? Make perfect sense to you. I get why these hurricanes is hitting and the tornadoes and people being killed, and I get it. Virus. It makes sense. Go from there. Get Jeremiah chapter 35 and verse 15. How many of y'all like playing Israelite? Huh? Y'all weekend warriors. How many of y'all really live and die for this? You ready to give your life for this? Okay. 35 and 15.
Jeremiah chapter 35 verse 15. I have sent also unto you my servants, the prophets, rising up early and sending them, saying, return ye every man for his evil.
See, this is what you got to understand. The prophets are always sent before the judgment comes. That's why you've been seeing Jakes everywhere. On the corners, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, in the movies, on the news, in your music. Everywhere you go, you see Israelites, folks talking about the truth. Now you even seeing it on ESPN. Everywhere you go, it's crazy. Because some years back we was talking about this and people was like, nah. Now what they be saying? Huh? Yeah, exactly. Ain't nobody debating. I know I'm Israel. I know I'm a Jew. But they still don't want to keep these commandments, though. Raise your hand just by a show of hands if you know people that ain't keeping these commandments, but they know as soon as you told them and they was like, I know I'm an Israelite. I can't tell you how many people, not even people that I just know, because there's plenty of people that I know, but people that I be on the streets and talk to somebody homeless random and they be like, I know I'm an Israelite. Before I could even say the word Israel. But for all of that, just like you said, Aharon, they don't want to keep these commandments though. But watch this. Who gonna have an excuse? Nobody. Who got a legitimate alibi? Because he said, just like I did way back then, I'm doing the same thing. He said, I always send the prophets first. They everywhere. It's entertainment now. Street teaching became the new battle rap. You want to be entertained, go look at, a lot of y'all, that's how y'all get entertainment through the week. You look at this, you looking at people teaching. All the clickbait, it's all there for you. He said, it's all right, some preach Christ in contention, some in love. But either way, he's being preached. Read on.
Return ye now, every man from his evil way, and amend your doings, and go not after other gods to serve them. And ye shall dwell in the land which I have given to you and to your fathers.
So that's what the prophets is being sent. To say that, to warn the people. Get your act together. Get right. Plagues are coming. But watch this, read.
But ye have not inclined your ear, nor hearkened unto me.
But you ain't trying to listen. Our people ain't trying to listen. Go from there. Get Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 36. Deuteronomy 32, 36. So we're going to read down to 43.
Deuteronomy 32 and 36. Lord shall judge his people and repent himself for his servant.
You see that? It don't matter what you think, the Most High is going to judge his people. A lot of people don't like that. He's going to judge us. We sitting up here, everybody got opinions. Jacob Blake, George Floyd. Most High said, I'm going to judge my people. That's just what it's going to be. He's going to judge us. He's judging us. Read.
And repent himself for his servant. When he seeth that their power is gone. And there is none shut up or left.
You think he just get enjoyment? He said it hurts. It hurts. If you would have just did what I told you to do, we wouldn't have to go through this. Read on.
And he shall say, where are their gods, their rock, in whom they trust?
Where your guys at now? Where the white man at now? Where the money at now? Where them jewels and where them rims at now? Where the hoes at now? Go ahead.
Which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offering. Let them rise up and help you and be your protection.
You see that? He said, you love all of that. You put all that before me, but now let them rise up and protect you. He said, I'm the one that has always protected you. And you done place these things, more value on these things than me? He said, well, let that protect you. Oh, you don't need me? Just because I've hid my face from you? He said, yeah, I hid my face from you. Now, if you read the book, you'd understand why. And you'd understand that I warned you. I gave you warning. I told you what I was going to do, and you did it anyway. Read on.
See now that I, even I am he, and there's no God with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither any that can deliver out of my hand. You
see that? He said, look, you keep searching for help. You're searching for a God. He said, you searching for God within? He said, you didn't read that scripture in the book of Psalms? He said, ye are gods, but ye shall die like men because of all of the nonsense and foolishness that you into. You looking for the God within. He said, you a dead man walking. You in the valley of the dry bones. Ain't no God in you because I'm God and I done turned my face from you. My spirit ain't in you. Sitting up here, they out here talking about we gods and ain't keeping 9 commandments. You ain't no God. You ain't even a demigod. You don't have power without the power. Go ahead and read.
Neither any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. For I wet my glittering sword, and in mine hand take hold on judgment.
Go ahead.
I'll render vengeance to mine enemies, and reward them that hate me.
You see that? He said, you can't stop me from getting my vengeance. We take stuff so personal. We take things so personal, things that we don't understand. We don't know these people's lives, and we be sitting up here boo-hooing and crying. I pay my respect as best as I can, but I make sure I keep my boundary. Because I don't know what that man's personal life was all about. I don't know if blasphemy has come out of his mouth. I don't know how he walked in the dark behind closed doors. I can appreciate him for whatever his contribution or for whatever her contribution may have been that I was privileged to enjoy and be entertained by or be moved by, but that's the extent. I cannot begin to advocate for their soul because I don't know who they were. Especially if they'd never openly confessed. Because see, that's the difference between the walk that we walk and everybody else. You got a whole lot of folks in this world that will not openly confess what it is that they... And anytime I see an Israelite who's posing himself to be a leader amongst the people, but he won't openly confess what it is and what doctrines it is that he stands on, then he's suspect. I need to be willing and ready to let you know where it is that I stand. Period. Read.
I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. And that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy.
Most High ain't playing no games. Read.
Rejoice, O you nations, with his people. We will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries. And will be merciful unto his land and to his people.
That's what we got coming to us. Why are we tripping? Why are we so delusional? Huh? Man, want it right now. And then want to try to get into the next one to come. Can't have it both ways. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 17. Read that. Ecclesiastes 3 and 17. No problem, Mark.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 17.
Yes, sir.
I said in my heart, the Most High shall judge the righteous and the wicked.
You see that? It don't matter how you feel. He said he gonna judge the righteous and the wicked. Job had to check his wife because his wife got out of pocket. She said, why don't you just go ahead and curse the Most High? He said, woman, is you crazy? Is you foolish? He said, am I supposed to accept all of the good from the Most High but not be willing to accept the bad too? Most High said death happened to all of us. No respecter of person. Even for the righteous, because we fall at times. But he said we're supposed to get back up. He said we all got to be judged. We sit up here getting bent out of shape about the judgments that we see in the earth. I don't know. I almost lost my faith. I don't know about God. I don't know. Well, you bound to drown. You better get your mind right. And you better realize that this ain't about you. You got to be in a place where you understand that it ain't about you. Most High, what is it that you need me to do? You need me to tie shoelaces? I'm with it. You need me to lay out and be a doormat? I'm with that. I'll take the lowest of the lowest jobs, Most High, because I realize that it ain't about me. Some of y'all think y'all Hebrew celebrities. You got a Hebrew celebrity state of mind. As if you somebody extra special. Especially some of my brothers that's YouTube celebrities. And every time we say that, folks get offended. Oh, now you're talking about me. The shoe fit, wear it. If you're doing the work in sincerity, then you shouldn't be pricked. But if it pricks you, then you ought to, take it. Let it sink in. Pour salt in the wound. Because guess what? It ain't about us. It ain't about your celebrity. It's about your servitude. It's about your sacrifice. What are you giving to your nation? You got so many folks that give and give and give. They give their opinion on this. They give their vain opinions on that. But can't even deal with a person righteously on a one-on-one level. Unwilling to forgive. Unwilling to be brotherly and sisterly. Unwilling to just acknowledge people. Unwilling to give a kind word. And they sitting up here thinking that they're going to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. Scripture says, be thou continually with a godly man whom thou knowest. Who can you vouch for? You hear a whole lot. But who have you seen? What are your interactions with people? You know how sometimes you hear about somebody, but you haven't had any personal interactions? You ever had a situation where you hear a lot of good stuff about somebody, but when you finally do have a personal interaction, it ain't nothing like what you expected? Have you ever had the flip happen? Where you got in cool with some people and they seemed cool and buddy-buddy, but they talked about this one person that they was the scum of the earth, and then when you got with them, you like, dang, they actually cool. What am I missing? It's a cold world. It's a cold world out here. And that's why the Bible says it is a narrow path that only one person can walk on at a time. And on this side is fire, and on this side is water. You fall, you either gonna burn or drown. You better stay focused and balanced. Because that's what it's like, walking this walk. If you crip walking on the path, then you might need to readjust what you're doing. You got too much space. He said that the road is supposed to be narrow. It ain't supposed to be wide. He said wide. The wide road leadeth to what? Destruction. If you on the road and you got the homie over here and y'all dancing and shimmying and all of that, then that might not be the road that you want to be on. Now you might have a situation where you got a brother right here and a sister behind you, and y'all, you had your moments where you get a little jokey, you be like, all right, no, don't make me laugh too much. You trying to make sure you walk across. That's what it should be like. Was that all of that?
For there is a time there for every purpose, for every work.
See that? Go to, stay in Ecclesiastes, go to 5 and 8.
Same chapter.
Yep.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 8.
Go ahead.
If thou seest the oppression of the poor.
If you see the oppression of the poor, we're seeing plenty of that, ain't we? And when we speak of the poor in the Bible, in most cases, it's talking about a nation of people. It's talking about the nation of Israel. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So he says, if thou seest the oppression of the poor, if you seest the oppression of your people, the Israelites, read.
And violent perverting of judgment and justice in province.
In a province, this is a province right here. You see it amongst many provinces all over the United States and all over the world, where Israelites are being subjected to violent perverting of judgment and justice. They shoot us on camera. Now watch this. You get caught stealing something on camera, no questions asked, you fired. You get caught at the liquor store on camera, it ain't no question you did it. We got laws, policies, and procedures in place. Police officer, a man is unarmed. He's got his back turned towards you. Right? You have other weapons that you can use that are non-lethal. And you shoot him 7 times. Huh? Didn't even commit a crime. With his children in the car. Were his children in the car?
Yeah, they was here.
This ain't the first time. Philando Castile. You say? He could have used a non-lethal weapon. He could have used a taser. He could have used a billy club. That would have been the best thing to do. All of that to say this. Violent perverting of judgment and justice. They sitting up here like we got to investigate. We got to see if the police are. Really? Seen George Floyd get killed in high definition. The ones that they don't publicize, it was a Jake, that was Gardena. And that wasn't too long ago. It was right after George Floyd. It was his name was Andreas Guardado. Yeah. Happened, he said it was another one just recently in Pasadena. And we just getting, it's a green light. If that ain't the perverting of judgment and justice, I don't know what is. Somebody else, they waited a long time, but then they just let them off. They didn't have any charges. They shot somebody and killed somebody too. I forgot who it was. Who was it? Was it Mike Brown? I think him too. It might have been somebody else. I think the dude. I think Mike Brown, he got off.
Breonna Taylor?
Yeah, Breonna Taylor. Another older woman, Israelite woman, Southern Kingdom. They said she got like shot, and she was old, like 39 times in her own home by the police. Like, what's going on? What's really happening? For all of that, our people don't want to try the commandments, try to come back to God. You want to, Vanessa Marquez.
She got killed by the police. They having a protest tomorrow.
So they having a protest for her. All of these killings, and ain't nothing else work. But you be in the bootleg church, but you don't want to try to keep these commandments? People full of doo-doo, man. Blind. Go ahead and read. So he said, if
thou, you want me to start from the beginning?
From the top.
If thou seest oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province,
what we supposed to do?
Marvel not at the matter.
Man, I can't believe that. Man, oh man. He said, what you marveling at? Marvel not. Because you already know what time it is. You know what time it is. Read on.
For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than and there be higher than they.
So what he's saying? Most High said, look, you ain't no need for you to marvel, because guess what? I'm paying attention. He said, I got this. He said, you think I'm going to let them get away with shedding the innocent blood that is being shed? You think I'm going to let them get away with that? Even though, because see, you got to read them scriptures. Even with David, when the Amalekite lied and said that he killed Saul, and David was like, oh, really? Now remember, Saul was an enemy to David. Saul was trying to kill David. This Amalekite tried to take the credit for killing Saul and didn't even really do it. And he thought David was going to be like, oh, thank you, like it was a good thing because evil had to be stumped out. David was like, you and your people is more wicked than Saul could have ever been. It ain't your place. Not one of them Edomites had any place in passing any type of judgment on any of those Israelite lives that have been taken. I said it because the Bible says it. They ain't got nothing to do with this right here. They ain't judging according to our Constitution. So guess what? It's a lot of blood on their hands. That's why he said, don't trip. You think you keeping count. He said, you can't keep count like I keep count. He said, my eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. He said, I see everything. I got it all in record. Bet. That's what he's saying right there. He said, ain't no need for you to marvel. He said, because I'm already on top of it. Sitting up here talking about Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter. He said we wouldn't even have to say that if we said justice matters. Judgment matters. And then if we put people in their proper place, because you got a whole lot of Israelites that's afraid to say that white folks are not on our level. We're not equal. Don't do your children a disservice by being afraid to teach them that they're better than the other nations. Teach them how to respect the process. Teach them how to live peaceably amongst all men, but you need to tell them that they are different. Deuteronomy 7:6, that they are above all the rest. That's what you got to make sure you instill within them. Because that's what you need within you. A lot of y'all have a hard time with that. You better than them. Go ahead. Was that all of that?
That was all of it.
Go from there. Get Esther in the Apocrypha, chapter 16, verse 8 through 9. Esther chapter 16, verse 8 and 9.
Esther chapter 16, verse 8. And we must take care of the time to come, that our kingdom may be quiet and peaceable for all men.
You see this? Listen up, read.
Both by changing our purpose and always judging things that are evident with more equal proceeding.
Always, not sometimes, always judging things that are evident. Why does he say, why is that being said? Think about it. And this is not even an Israelite saying this, but it's something that's understood amongst all the nations. Always judging things that are evident. Because we get in a place sometimes where we won't even judge the things that are evident. The things that our people know better. They already should know better. And then we, like, homosexuality is one of the big ones today. Our people know better. They know better. But they done drunk the Kool-Aid. They done drunk the wine. They finally figured out who got the money. Especially if you're trying to go entertainment and even corporate America at this point. It's like you don't want to offend those that are actually signing your paycheck, especially in entertainment. It's taboo. You can't say nothing about gay folk. You can't criticize gay folks, and you can't criticize bootleg Jews. Am I lying? Can't say nothing about them. If you want a career, Bible said, man, we got to be in a situation where we are judging the things as evident. Brother, that's wrong. Sister, that's wrong. Even within the body, brother, that's wrong. Sister, in love, you need to change. Then he said, with more equal proceeding, meaning what? Don't be a respecter of persons. That's how we stay on top of things. Do not be a respecter of persons. You understand? That's how we gonna get our stuff together. We gotta make sure that we judging and we keeping holding one another accountable. Go ahead and read. That was all I needed. Go from there. Get Isaiah chapter 59. Start at verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 1. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save. Neither is ear heavy that it cannot hear.
Go ahead.
But your iniquities have separated between you and your God.
Our iniquities have separated us from the Most High. We wondering why the Most High done turned his face from us. What's going on? Why is all of this stuff happening to us as a people? Because our people have sinned so much and will not cease from sinning, to the point where the Most High said, I can't be amongst you. I can't dwell amongst you. You disgust me right now. Go ahead.
Your sins have hid his face from you, that he would not hear.
You see that? Read.
For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies. Your tongue hath muttered perversion.
Go ahead.
None calleth for justice.
Nobody's calling for real justice. Everybody talking about justice for so-and-so, justice for Breonna Taylor, justice for so-and-so. But then they sitting up here talking about justice is to get somebody, not even before they sentence, but to get somebody arrested, to get somebody, what's the word I'm looking for? Not even detained, but charged, thank you. And then we be sitting up here acting like we got a victory because somebody got charged, when they don't have any intent on actually convicting them and sentencing them. We want to call that justice. He tells you an eye for an eye. How do you get around that? People want to sit up here and be like, oh, you know, we just want things to be done right, and we tired of being killed, and it's scary because it could be me, it could be my son, and, you know, even LeBron, you know, I think that was LeBron that said, I don't know what kind of data the cop might have had. Here's the thing. The Bible says an eye for an eye. You got all of these folks that swear up and down that they subscribe to the Bible. Israelites scared out of their mind. The Bible says an eye for an eye. He that kill with the sword shall be killed with the sword. He that taketh into captivity shall be taken into captivity. The Bible says that all of them shall be a ransom for your soul. He said, even if you ain't willing to pull the trigger, the only way y'all gonna make it in, he said, the only way you gonna make it in, I gotta put a whole lot of them to death. That's why Yahweh Shai even said it. He said, when I come back, it said he gonna go into Bozrah with an all-white garment on. Solo, dolo. We like to put in work. Some of us in the world, we put in work. Yahweh Shai said, I got this one all on my own. Let the big homie take care of this one, and I'll let you finish him off. He said, I'm going to go up in there with an all-white garment on, and when I leave up out of there, my garment going to be all red. That's what the Bible say. What Bible are they preaching to you? We sitting up here talking about justice. That's why he said it. None calling for justice. Well, what about all the people? What about Black Lives Matter? What about all the people that are putting their lives on the line? They're putting their money and their resources out there. None calleth for justice. He said, because justice means an eye for an eye. We ain't gonna sit up here and pussyfoot. Sit up here and be like, well, you know, be like, look, how many of us you killed? That's how many of y'all. You want to make it right? That's how many of y'all got to go. So let's count. Let's get a count. 2020 alone.
Man, don't America still has an accessory to crime clause in their laws?
Man, but it don't pertain to us according to their law. But I know the law that I go by. We do what we got to do our little surviving while we can survive until the sugar honey iced tea hit the fan. But when it all go down, you better be ready to get them hands dirty. Some Israelites don't like saying that, and they be, oh, we're not affiliated. And, hey, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to be wise as I can within the confines of what I got. But then it gets to a certain point where it's like, well, I can't cross that line, sir. I complied as much as I could. Now you're trying to put me in danger of breaking my laws. And I can't do that, sir. You'll get more respect that way anyway. It's crazy because the people that be, you know, sometimes when you see the ones that's begging for their life and begging for mercy, it's like these bastards get a hard on. They even more inclined to kill you when you're sitting up there, oh, please, no. You know what? How Yahweh Shai took it?
Didn't say nothing.
Easy. How Yahweh Shai took that? What the scripture say? Do you remember that? You ever read that? How did Yahweh Shai take his death? That's what I understand now. Most High forbid none of us end up in that situation anytime soon. Don't beg for your life. Nah. Don't give them that satisfaction. It's just like when we read, like the scriptures is there for us. They prolong Eliezer because he wasn't trying to like, oh, he was like, it is what it is. Go ahead and kill me. Oh, well, they don't get the satisfaction out of that. They want to kill you while you sitting up there. Oh, no, I got kids and I got. You going to kill me? Go ahead. It's what it's going to be. Why waste my time begging you when you're the devil that the Bible speaks of? If I'm going to call out to anybody, I'm going to call out to the Most High. That's what makes sense to me. Man, get these babies ready, man. Sitting up there, they cute to you right now. Most High said, these is my warriors. The men and these babies, these little girls, they got to be ready. Y'all ever read the story of the woman with the 7 sons? Bible said with a manly stomach. It's wartime. I'm going to end it right here. Judgment of the Most High. Judith chapter 16, verse 17 speaks about woe being unto the nations, all those that rise against Israel. Because see, the judgment started with us, but he said, I'm going to end up with these heathens. They all got to pay for everything that they doing. Don't be amazed and don't be shaken by everything that you see that's going on in this world. It's got to happen. Be solid in these commandments. Figure out who's trying to keep these commandments and cleave unto them. Investigate. That's another thing. That's been the new thing in Israel. You might see somebody that cuss. Oh, I can't follow them. Yeah, this person cussing and you talking about they unrighteous, and this person don't cuss at all, but they over here fornicating. Do your research. Figure this thing out. Because we ain't got much time, y'all. And all praise be to the Most High. Any announcements?